Lovely. I don't know why
Hi.
I wanted to say, I'm old Greg.
I'm old Greg. This is a picture of Bailey's. This is a picture of Bailey's a little bit closer. This is a picture of Bailey's so close you get your eyes wet. I freaking love old Greg. I'm old Greg.
I'm old Greg. Hello.
Do you love me?
Hi.
Are you playing your love games with me? This is Two Girls, One Ghost.
Two girls, one ghost.
And
It
this
always
episode-
amazes me. Sorry. It always
Oh.
amazes me how I know like one line from old nostalgic videos and you'll like repeat the line and then I don't know. And all of a sudden you can verbatim go line by line and you just keep going. And sometimes I just have to sit here and be like in awe of where do you keep all this information?
It's in the spot that it should be removed from for me to be able to remember normal English and most other things that come out in this podcast where I'm like, what's the name? What's the word? Who's the person? It's all just YouTube videos from like 2005 through, honestly, through Vine. It was like YouTube to Vine, and that took up all my memory. I was actually just
so impressed.
or Brian just told me the other day because I posted a video and I was like, nature's pretty neat. And then he was like, oh, you misspelled nature. And I was like, no, I didn't. Because did you see that YouTube video?
Do you spell it nature?
Nature. Ugh. It's like no one's seen this video and yet they have millions of views on YouTube. It was from like 2000, I don't know, 10 or whatever.
Okay, but to be fair, in your defense, because I'm going to come to it, the sentence was nature's pretty neat. So you spelt it like natures.
Nature. Yes. It's an amazing video. I made Brian and my dad sit through a 3-minute long YouTube video to watch it. I was cackling. They're like not laughing. And I was like, oh, okay, I guess this is something that it's mostly funny when you're 14. But it still lives in my heart.
Or, 28. It's fine.
Or right now. That's basically why our podcast is named what it is, too. Because
we are mature adults.
Sticks in your heart when you're 13, 14. Yeah.
Yes.
This is Two Girls, One Ghost.
Two Girls, One Ghost. I think we did this already, but hello again.
We didn't.
Yeah, we did. We totally whispered.
Okay. As you're saying, my memory is good. Well, okay, here's the thing. I'm supposed to say who this podcast is sponsored by. So
I did interrupt
it's the
you.
Lead in. Okay,
we're about routine here, and we are your ghostesses. That's Corinne, and I'm Sabrina. And the next episode, we will be together.
Yeah. We're
gonna film it
by the time this
the
comes
hotel.
out. Oh yes, so the next episode that we record will be together. The next encounters, and then this episode comes out a few days after our live show. So we are so happy with how it went.
Riding our high. Yeah, it went really well.
I hope you guys enjoyed it. It went so well.
Bigfoot paid a visit.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We can say that because no one else will know until
no one else is watching.
Happened. Yeah. And we're really, just so stoked about I don't know what to say.
Can I?
Rambling.
It's so funny that you just spoke that way because Corinne, you came onto screen. Picture this. I'm like getting ready, setting up, and then your face pops up on the screen, and you look like a beautiful surfer girl mermaid, and so the way that you were so stoked, I was like, yes, you are a little California girl at heart.
This is my natural hair when I don't do it.
It's beautiful.
But thank you. I think it looks okay because the right side is a little bit better. But the problem with this hair is that I always love the underside because it's wavy and curly.
Mine does that too.
And then the top is flat.
Yeah.
And I don't know how to fix it. It's just straight hair on the top.
Maybe get some good product.
Oh, I mean, I had my hairdresser get me the huge bottles of Olaplex.
I love Olaplex.
I do Olaplex, Living Proof, Oribe. That's the only.
But I mean,
shit
a post shower, there's got to be some mousse or something that you can put in to help maintain the curls.
If anybody has extremely low porosity hair and wavy hair, please help me because my hair does not.
You just said a couple words that went over my head.
There's a porosity test. I learn everything from TikTok now. There's a porosity test where you can see how porous your hair is, meaning like how much moisture your hair keeps in. And based on
Oh.
that, you have to match your products that you use to your hair type.
Whoa.
And so there's a bunch of quizzes you can take online. But the easiest way to figure out your porosity is if you take like a strand of hair, you don't have to pluck it from your head. You can just grab it from the ground or whatever, or your hairbrush, and you put it in a cup of water.
Okay.
And you leave it for a few minutes. And when you come
Okay.
back, if your hair is still floating on top, that means you have low porosity because the hair isn't taking in any moisture. It's just like dry and like chilling at the top. If it's normal, it's floating in the middle. And if it's high porosity, did I mix those things up? If it's high porosity, it's at the very bottom because it sucked in all the moisture and now it's
Oh.
heavy, so it floats down to the bottom.
Whoa. Okay. I'm going to try
So-
this.
Yeah, and that's about the extent I know of hair knowledge.
This feels
I'm getting
like-
there.
This feels like something that would be at a science fair in middle school, and I love it.
Yeah. Oh, that is a fun test. That's it for all the people with kids out there. That's like a good little.
Yeah.
Did you ever do the thing where you put like pepper and dish soap in a dish and they run from each other? Oh, it was
No,
really
I've
fun.
never seen that.
Yeah, I don't remember anything in terms of what it means, but it's just really cool to see.
And this has been Science Hour with Two Girls, One Ghost.
Yeah, 1%
You're welcome.
science, just like 1% history. It's like the tidbit that we remember and absolutely nothing else.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's great. Everything is great. Do you ever drink so much coffee that you feel ill and like you're going to throw up, but you won't let yourself stop until you finish the whole thing?
I have done the first part, but not the second part.
Oh, okay. I'm nauseous, but I'm going to keep
So do you want me to yell at you to stop drinking your coffee? Because I don't want you to go throw up in the middle of this episode.
No, it won't work. I don't listen to anyone. I do
I
what I
don't listen
want.
to anyone. I don't even listen to myself.
I don't. My body saying stop drinking. No. I bought this. I paid for it. I'm like, this is where I get cheap. I'm like, I paid $4 for this iced coffee, so I'm going to drink all of it. Because right now I've only had $1.80 worth. So got to keep going.
So I will do that, but then I'll save the other half in the fridge. This is coffee from yesterday that I put in the fridge, and now I'm drinking it as iced coffee today.
Brilliant. Brilliant. I love iced coffee the most. I drink it all year round. Do you switch to hot
And-
coffee in the winter?
I love hot coffee.
Yeah.
Leia is chatty, and I think she wants to be in my lap, so come here. Let's see.
Come on, Lay.
She ran away.
You should get
Hello.
one of those baby carriers that you can put her in the
Put
front.
her in here.
Yeah. Do you think she would like
I
that?
do
or
have
would
a
she
little
freak out.
Kangaroo
So
pouch in my overalls.
That pocket, I would argue, is not the appropriate size for Leia, but is the appropriate size for a kitten.
Oh, so it means I must get a kitten.
Yeah, exactly. That's the point.
Earlier today, I was like going around like this with my phone just in my
Mhm.
pocket like this, and I was like, this is the perfect way to secretly like film someone.
Oh, it is. I didn't even think of that. But those pockets are so epic. I went to, in Boston, they have the Head of the Charles. It's basically just like different types of regattas a couple times a year. And I went to the
Mhm.
one this past fall and I was wearing overalls too. And the pocket in the front of overalls is life-changing. I had my wallet in there. I had my cell phone in there.
It's the
And I
best.
had my beer in there. I was free hands. I looked real top heavy, but I
It's like
didn't
cargo
care.
pants.
Exactly. But right on your chest, keeping everything close to the heart. I like it.
All of it. And this is why I want to be buried in them, because when I am a ghost, I'm going to require many utensils and
Right.
tools.
It's utility pants, but just
It
a whole
is.
whole body, full body.
But they're
version of
cute.
it. They are
Yeah.
very cute.
Yeah.
Well, I've always
Ghost
said you have
fashion.
the best fashion.
Actually, I was thinking today
Mm-hmm.
about how we should do a TikTok segment where it's our ghostly skincare, and I just end up doing my Voldemort makeup instead of like real skincare.
Wait, you should. That's so funny. I love that. How did you do your nose again? Did you do Band-Aids or something?
I did masking tape. Actually, I did it like this. So I masking taped my nose down like this.
Yeah.
And then I drew the two. And then it was funny because I couldn't really breathe. So I put like a little like, went like this with my pinky under the tape. So there was like a little like breathing room.
tiny little hole.
And then I
Oh my
drew the
gosh.
nostrils on.
I love that. It's so good. It's so good. I was screaming when you FaceTimed me in your Voldemort outfit. Because you called me twice. And the first time I didn't pick up. And the second time I was like,
yeah.
I was like, I feel like I should really be picking up right now.
I need to answer. Yeah.
And then you just were like, making your little Voldemort face. It was so good. Oh, man.
Oh, gosh. We need to start thinking about what we're doing for Halloween this year. So if anyone has ideas, please comment below because this is on YouTube now. Hello.
Hi.
And also email us ideas because I don't know how to one-up Voldemort. That's hard.
Yeah. And we're not going to be most likely together on actual Halloween, but we will be together. Right. You're going to come here, I think, in October. We're going to chill
I am
together
coming there.
in the Boston area. So,
yes.
I mean, we could still theoretically put on our costumes and like walk around Salem or something.
100%.
Right?
And we could maybe do some events and, I don't know, knock on wood, guys. Maybe more live shows.
Maybe. Let's hope. Let's hope that whatever happened a few days ago went really well.
Okay, well, should I find out?
Yeah, Magic 8 Ball. Let's see.
Okay.
Dearest
Magic 8 Ball and all the spirits of the universe who are with us in this Magic 8 Ball. Will Corinne and I be doing more live shows? Or what's the more specific question?
Within this calendar year.
Within this calendar year.
And then the follow-up question, if it says no, is next calendar year? What do we have?
Cannot predict now.
Oh, screw that. I'm gonna go get my crystal. Hold on. My pendulum.
Okay, I'm gonna keep shaking it until it gives me the answer I want.
I'm gonna go get
Okay.
I'm gonna get my pendulum.
Wow, Corinne is gone. Oh, this one says as I see it. Yes, because this is how it works. Of course.
Can you hear my little sticky feet?
I can't, but I can hear your little voice.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Now it says as I see it. Yes.
Okay.
I'll take that.
Well, that's extremely favorable. Thank you.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you remember when
cheat
I was
the system.
asking the pendulum a bunch of questions about myself, and then I was like, do you want me to ask it questions about you? And every single time I asked it, it completely stopped moving.
Because it hates me? Yeah.
I was trying to I literally propped up my phone and I was filming to basically be like, all right, Sabrina, here are the answers to your questions. And I've never seen the pendulum so damn still in my life.
It was like the universe doesn't support Sabrina right now, so we can't answer the phone right now.
I think it was more of just like a mind your own business, Corinne.
Yeah, but
Sabrina wants to know
mind my business.
Should I bring this to LA?
Yes.
So you can ask it? Okay.
I would love to. Okay.
I'm nervous. TSA won't take it, right? Actually,
No.
I get through TSA with a knife almost every single time.
Corinne, this is recorded. What?
Okay, well, it's not like a normal metal knife. It's the Go Guarded ring. The one that is for runners and like geared or marketed towards female runners. I don't know what it's made from. It's like that thing it's dangerous. I don't purposefully bring it, but I often forget it wherever it is in one of my bags or purses. And it has gone with me on the plane multiple times.
Meanwhile, I get pulled over every time I bring my microphone anywhere.
Oh, me too.
Okay, let's ask it.
It looks suspicious. Okay, so normally I think when you use a pendulum, you're supposed to basically say like, tell me yes, or like, show me yes, show me no. But here's the thing. Every single time it goes up and down for yes and back and forth for no. So I'm going to try to be really, really still. Okay. I'm like holding my breath. In this calendar year, will Sabrina and I do more live shows? Isn't this creepy?
It is. I can't tell where it's going.
I said no. Okay. Thank you, Spirit.
We don't appreciate your answers right now, but thanks.
Okay. All right. Well, you know what? Here's the thing.
Moving on.
You can change your own future and manifest. So we'll see.
Yeah, we're in control of our own destiny. Okay. Corinne, you're first this week. But
Yes.
this is another topic picked by our Patreon donor. This one is picked by Kat, and it is funeral homes.
Funeral homes. Yes. Which, okay,
Yes.
before we even start that, I'm going to read an email. So we got an email from our listener, Sierra, and there's a lot more that I did not understand in terms of terminology when it comes to like mortuaries versus funeral homes versus like
Cool.
all of these things. And so I found this email after already doing my research, and I didn't tell you about it either. So what we're about to say, there's probably going to be some things that we get mixed up when it comes to terminology, but we're going to learn now, and so the listeners can fill in or correct what we say as we go.
Correct us, future us.
Yes. Okay, so really quick. So Sierra emailed us. She's a new listener and wanted to write in after listening to Job Hauntings. She is a biomedical and forensic photographer for a large county in Michigan and works at a medical examiner's office, mostly in the autopsy suite, but occasionally will go out to death scenes with investigators, medico-legal death investigators, different from law enforcement. But basically, she's in the field and she understands what's going on.
Okay,
and
well,
we get
Sierra,
a lot of our
I wanna
information.
know all about your job. We might
Right?
need
It
to
sounds
call you.
super cool.
Yeah.
Okay, but she writes, I'm writing in to give some clarification. I feel like there are a lot of terms thrown around regarding the death industry that people think are interchangeable. I definitely did, but really aren't.
Yes, we are guilty.
You guys talked about mortuary hauntings, which I loved, but I think there are some medical examiner/coroner office stories mixed in. You see, mortuaries are funeral homes, and they would not be doing autopsies, i.e., finding cause and manner of death. Funeral homes transport, embalm, and prep bodies for funerals and burial. They work closely with a medical examiner/coroner's office because they will pick up bodies there after autopsy. Medical examiner offices/coroner offices are the ones actively figuring out how someone died. They are the ones doing actual autopsies to find cause and manner of death. Hospitals also have morgues and will do autopsies. So a mortician would not be performing an autopsy, but they would be embalming someone and do whatever else is needed for the funeral. Also, in my experience, if a family member has to come in and identify the body, that would be done at a medical examiner/coroner's office, not at the mortuary/funeral home. Once a body is at the funeral home, the family has already been in contact with them and made all necessary arrangements. Like I said, though, I work at a large county with many cities, so maybe it's different in smaller counties/cities or in rural areas. And then she said, death is such a taboo subject in America, and I always want to clarify things for people to help them understand what I do and what happens after we die. I think it's a fascinating field to work in, and I wouldn't choose anything else. I hope this was okay to write in about. It definitely was. Maybe one day I'll have a ghostly experience to write in about, because how can a ME's office not be haunted? Okay, so this was super helpful, Sierra.
Yes. I do feel
I'll
like
likely forget. But
I feel like because I worked on Prodigal Son and Idrissa was a medical examiner and we were in that world a lot, I ended up learning a lot more about this industry. So it totally makes sense. Like mortuary and funeral homes are the like burial and like death services process.
I thought that morticians and autopsy techs and coroners were essentially all the same thing. So this helped me.
Yeah. I do wonder, my one question is like, what degrees, is it a similar degree that they all have to have? Or is there?
Yeah, I don't know.
Or not?
Yeah.
Because remember, I think we probably have talked about this on the podcast. Like 3 years ago, there was like all these news stories about, and now I'm not sure if they were mortuaries or morgues or what the situation was, or ME offices, but like there were such small towns like kind of spread out within the United States that like they were hiring the butchers to become the, again, I'm not sure the specific term of those news stories, but like to become like the town's mortician or ME, and they didn't have any like real expertise. And then there was that one place that they found the guy was like Frankensteining bodies.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. I almost forgot about that. Yeah. And there was just so many. Like, do you remember all the drones that were going over and just, there were like bodies stacked in the back. It was really disturbing. There was, I almost actually chose, so for this, we said haunted funeral homes / morgues. And I almost chose for this a morgue or a funeral home that had basically like shut down because there were a ton of dead bodies like found abandoned there like many years after they had shut the place down.
Whoa.
That just weren't taken care of. But I didn't do that one because I think that was basically like the most disturbing and scary part of it. There was I couldn't find actual ghost stories from the place. But
it would have been just more like the gruesome stories. Something I'm so fascinated by, and if anyone of our listeners works at or knows anything about these, please tell me more. They're called body farms, and it's basically like you donate your body to science, and they like they put your body in different places, or not yours, like, but they put bodies in different experiments technically to see how they decompose, and it helps them solve crimes later down the line.
Right, because you can see how it interacts with different like weather and elements and soil types and fauna and whatever. It's really, really like fascinating.
Non-natural substances, exactly. Yeah.
Is there more than one? For some reason, when people say the body farm, I always thought it was just one place.
I would imagine there's got to be more than one, just for like climate sake and resources. But yeah, I don't know. Especially because like, say you donate your body to science and the body farm is not nearby you, not necessarily that you have to go to a body farm, but like that would mess with the control, right? If you're being shipped cross country, then you're not following the decomposition properly.
Yeah, true. Yeah, I don't know.
But what do I know? This is a call to action.
Right. Have you ever been donated in your past life to the body farm? Please let us know what happened.
Are you a ghost at a body farm? Please call in.
Yeah, it is interesting. There's a book, and I haven't read it yet, but it's called Stiff. I'm pretty sure I downloaded the audiobook, but I'm fearful that I'll faint while listening to it. Oh. But I think it's all about what happens like in rigor mortis and basically like post-death and in decomposition to bodies. So we could probably learn a bit there as well.
Okay.
Oh, also San Diego right now has a exhibit on cannibalism, and I may or may not go. I don't know. It also feels like something I'll faint at. but I think me and Marissa might go. Yeah. Yeah, she was like, do you want to go to the museum about cannibalism? It kind of seems like something you'd be interested in doing. I was like, I mean, if there are photos of it, then no. But if we're just like learning about the psychology of it and history of it, then yes. But I can't.
That's like the best compliment ever, to be like, you look like the type of girl who would like to go to a cannibalism museum. Will you come with me?
Oh yes, God, what does that say? I mean, I feel like people
already know who we are. Okay, so anyway, what did you pick?
Okay, so we are going to venture over to Ohio, and I'm going to tell you about the most long-standing and successful Black-owned funeral home in Cleveland, Ohio. It was the city's second oldest Black-owned funeral home and was reported as the largest in the state. And this is the House of Wills. Oh. So I'm going to tell you all about Walter Wilkes.
Like Wilkes?
No, Wills. Like, do you have the will to live?
Oh.
Can you use it in a sentence, please? Okay.
Do you want an answer to that question? I don't know.
Yeah, I probably could have picked a nicer sentence, but that's where my mind is at right now.
Spelled it out.
Yeah, W-I-L-L-S. Okay.
Got it. Copy that.
Walter Wills first arrived in Cleveland, Ohio in 1899 after graduating from Antioch College, and he was a son of former slaves and was one of the 18 Black men who were brought into the city to work as strike bearers for the Cleveland Street Railway Company. Wow, I'm stuttering a lot already. So there was a strike that happened at this railway company, and it led to most people essentially being fired, including Walter. So he lost his job after basically moving there for this job after college. And so then he was kind of like, okay, what do I want to do with my life? What career choices can I make? All while,
Right.
you know, trying to keep in mind that he is a Black man in the late 1800s in Ohio who is the son of former slaves and has a family of his own. And he's really trying to like do well and establish himself and, you know,
Yeah.
start to build good resources and involve his community as well. So he's got a lot riding on him and like on his plate and in his mind when choosing what he's going to do. So
Totally.
he dabbles in a few other potential careers, the possibility of becoming a physician. He then looks into insurance. And I probably didn't have to include this, but I want to because it makes me mad. So he did end up landing an insurance job at Mutual Life in New York. But when signing contracts and getting ready to be essentially onboarded onto the job, the manager told him that mutual agents could only sell policies to white people. And Walter then realized that this man didn't realize that he was a Black man. And so he told this manager that he was Black. And so he was like, I'm not okay with this.
Oh, no.
And the manager was like, oh, okay, well, what? Okay, let's just strike that from the record. Tell me basically any other ethnicity and we'll be good to go. And he was like, no, I have way more pride than that. So Walter had to walk away from it. But luckily for him, he came across, he experienced that in a lot of his job searches and similar scenarios, which is just absolutely horrifying. But he finally ended up at a Massachusetts bank that had anti-discrimination laws, so he was able to work there. And while working at this bank, he also attended Cleveland Law School at night. So he was in insurance, going to law school, had already graduated college, was just still trying to figure it out, but also like collecting.
Hustling.
A lot of education and good connections. So then an interesting opportunity arose in 1904. He received a letter from William Gee, a new mortician who needed a partner. And so the two men worked out an agreement and opened the Gee and Wills funeral home. Walter
I'm just imagining like William Gee. Is that his name?
Yes.
Just sending blind letters to a bunch of people. Like, or I know they probably had some connection, but I'm now imagining a scenario where I just find people's names in the phone book and I just send letters to them and see if they want to be my partner in life.
Yeah, but also perhaps, but also I don't know how it worked back then. Maybe it was just kind of like anyone who works in insurance or has bank connections or a certain level of education. You're kind of just like, who will give me money here? Who will take a chance on me?
Who will work with me?
The original versions of Hi Sharks, here's my idea. Will you join me? But yeah, he just mailed out a letter. But Walter was like, yeah, man, let's do it. Yeah. So they went in on a funeral home together. And Walter then transformed his deceased father-in-law's house into the mortuary. Downstairs was the funeral parlor. And upstairs was a home where he and his wife, Alberta, lived and their family.
Okay.
So Walter Wills and his partner, William McGee, did not make this an ordinary funeral home. This is why I chose this place, because it's actually very, very cool.
Oh,
so,
okay.
Walter thought that funeral homes were much too glum and depressing and sad and made everyone upset. Yes. So they decided that they were going to make theirs as bright and as beautiful as possible. Vibrant, dancing colors to honor all of the amazing people who'd passed and to celebrate their lives rather than mourn their death. And this is the early 1900s. I don't think anyone else had probably ever done this. Very. Yeah. So just a couple years in, Walter's partner, William Gee, passes away and Walter's left to run the business on his own. So he moves the business to a larger building. So out of his late father-in-law's house and into a larger building. And he leans on his family to help him out a lot. His sisters, Anna and Mary, were funeral attendants. His son, Walter Jr., helped as a teenager before becoming more permanent fixture in the business in adulthood. And Walter soon bought his own carriage and a team of horses named Barney, Richard, and Colonel. And then he also purchased a car as well, making Walter the first Black mortician in Cleveland to own a funeral limousine. I love it. The horses.
I love this. This is also just such an empowering story.
Yeah, totally.
And it reminds me of anytime I talk about funeral homes, which is apparently a lot, I think of the show 6 Feet Under. If you've never seen it, it is so good.
I haven't.
Okay. So good.
Okay. This is
Michael C.
reminding.
Hall. Who else? There's a bunch of people in it, but it's really,
I love
really
Michael
good.
C. Hall. I need to watch it.
Yeah. You would like it.
This is reminding me of when my aunt and uncle had lived in a retirement community while their house was getting built. And I was biking around with them. And we were like biking, and my uncle was like, hey, how's it going, to one guy? And the guy was like, oh, woke up on the right side of the grass today. So pretty good. And it was the funniest joke I'd ever heard. I was like cackling, almost broke my bike. It's so good. But yeah, we all want to be
I love that.
this side of the ground for as long as we can be comfortably. Okay. So Walter was making a name for himself. He built this beautiful, colorful funeral home. And there were some other traditions that were a little bit old and antiquated or just didn't make sense to Walter. So he broke them and replaced them. So for example, one of these things was that he was the city's very first undertaker to stop hanging black crepe fabric in the doorway of the home of the deceased, which I hadn't even known was a thing. So basically, if you died, the funeral home would come and hang a black, or someone would, but I think the funeral home would hang a black curtain to basically, it's almost like lowering a flag, being like someone has passed here.
I read a book, and I'm blanking on the name, The Orphan Collector. I just read this, and it takes place in like 1920s-ish, when the plague first hit, or not first hit, like when the plague hit Philadelphia. Mm-hmm. And when people were dying from the plague, they were doing that on their doors. Like if someone died, they put black, or then they would put white if people were still alive. Like they would use different colors to insinuate like what was happening inside their doors.
Oh, that's feels very apocalyptic to basically have to wave a white flag to be like, I'm still in here.
Yeah.
It's a little scary. But yeah, I mean, I guess I don't know if that's a practice anywhere else in the world still, but it definitely was a thing. Yeah. Okay, so he was like, we're done with that. So instead, he purchased floral wreaths made by various black florists in the community and placed those in the doorway instead.
That's much more positive.
Much more positive. And also involving the community, right?
Yeah.
You know?
Supporting people. Yeah.
Multiple businesses and entrepreneurs now that he's purchasing these florals from. Yeah. So I think he did a great job. Good job, Walter.
Yes.
In 1935, he again had to move buildings. Let me preface this by basically every single time he moved buildings, it had something to do with the housing authority. The housing authority would basically be like, you're kicked out. We're gonna put condos here or do this or that. And there were a few times where people really tried to fight for Walter and his funeral home. But yeah, he basically lost every single time and just had to like find a new space.
So how many times did he move?
I don't know, like 3 or 4 times, I think.
Jeez.
Yeah. So in 1935, he moved buildings again, and he spent a lot of effort and money remodeling this new funeral home. He added mosaic tiles, oil paintings, expensive murals, colorful furniture, dazzling chandeliers, and this spot became known as House of Wills. So everyone started nicknaming it that. It was now his basically like the newest version of his funeral home after pretty much establishing himself as a lone funeral home director.
So was he still in business with William Gee? Because that's also a will.
Well,
so Wills.
Yeah, I'm sweating.
Take it off.
No, William Gee passed away a couple years into owning the funeral home.
Gotcha.
So,
okay.
Yes. So they owned the first funeral home together, or they started the business together. I don't know how the business worked out in the end when William Gee passed away, if Walter had to like buy out his half or something. I don't really know how it worked out. But basically, like after Walter passed, that's when they moved for the first time and have moved a few times since. So the only time they owned the funeral home together was when it was his late stepfather's house. There's
Okay.
a lot of moving parts, but it's the majority of the time this funeral home is Walter and his family. William and Walter only had the funeral home together for 2 years.
Gotcha.
Yes.
I have a question for you, Corinne.
Mm-hmm.
When I die, who would you like?
My face, you weren't looking, but I immediately went, uh-oh, she's going to ask me about her death. I was prepared for it. You were like, I don't know.
It was the look on my face that you could tell.
Yes. I know where this is going.
Do you?
I don't know. Are you going to ask, like, is Nick going to replace you or something?
That's close. I was going to ask, who would you like me to put? I can make a verbal will right now.
Okay.
The second half of the podcast, do you want me to burden you with the fact that you have to now do the podcast by yourself and that will be in my will? Or should I bequeath my role onto someone else?
I feel like the right thing to do would be to just dissolve the podcast. I can't keep going if you're dead, Sabrina. Oh my God.
But what if in my will I say, Corinne, you must continue the podcast until I, from the other side, gain enough strength to come through and communicate with you and continue the podcast from the other side, but you must continue it until it happens.
This feels very Harry Houdini of you.
I know, I was just thinking that.
And if that were the case, then yes, I would continue it. And I think that here's the thing, I wouldn't want to fully replace you because I feel like that would be, your spirit might feel spited by that or that you're like
spiteful Sabrina.
Spiteful Sabrina. Yes. I just feel like it would be harder like if you start to build a connection and whatnot.
Who's my
one other person? I think we'd have to have like guests. It would just be like a series of mediums. Just every single episode a new medium would be on to have the ability for you to come through.
I have another idea.
Mm-hmm.
Who is my I need to create a nemesis. I need to find a nemesis in this world. And I will also be their nemesis. It's going to be a mutual nemesis situationship. And when I die, I'm going to leave my role in this podcast to my nemesis because I want to be a spiteful spirit. I think that will give me more energy in the spirit world. So I'm setting myself up. Is there someone
who's given you a really tough time about believing in the paranormal? Like a mean skeptic, someone who's like, you're so stupid and naive. There's no ghosts.
Not yet, but I am accepting applications.
Okay. We'll see what happens.
We'll see.
Hopefully not, but okay. If I die, Sabrina, my wish for the podcast is for you to stop this podcast and put all of your efforts into making the best sleepy time ghost story podcast there ever was. Because I've been asking for that for 4 years. So this is my will for you to feel guilted into doing it.
Okay. We'll shake
I just need a constant. I love how now that we have video, we like pretend to shake and reach across the room. Also, I am sweating so bad. My underboob sweat is unreal. I'm like trying to make sure that the video
can't see it though,
below.
so you're okay.
Yeah, I'm blocking with the iPad.
Yeah.
Alrighty. So they've moved. They've redone this funeral home. It is dazzling. Just so gorge. But then during the Great Depression, Walter Wills converts his third floor into a food pantry for those in need. So he is doing way more than just the normal list of things to do for a funeral home. He's becoming a huge
really
part of his
the
community.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So for many people who were unable to pay for funerals at the time as well during the Great Depression, he conducted them at no cost. He allowed the home to be used for many Black civic events. It was a place for music recitals. It was a gathering space. Walter was super involved politically. He was on many, many boards. He invested in insurance companies that would write mortgages for Black people. He engaged the community and took care of them, and the community took care of him in return. So the House of Wills was not just like a relationship. We hope we never end up there. It was special.
Yeah.
Oh, I want to read this sentence. I wrote it so much better than what I just said, but it's basically the same sentiment. I wrote, "This is not some scary house with dead people at the end of the street. This was not the home little kids dared each other to go up to. This was not the place that people feared ever finding themselves at. This funeral home was a symbol of community, strength, and life."
That is a
Which it
beautiful
really was.
sentence.
Yes. So Walter did a great job engaging his community. Then again, despite everybody's annoyance, he has to move the funeral home once more. The housing authority came in and said, "Get out," and he was like, "Ugh."
At that point, it feels targeted, which is annoying to me.
Well, it probably was.
Yeah, hate that.
Hate that. Okay. So he moves, but this is to our benefit because he moves to a huge 50,000 square foot Gothic style building. This is a 42-room building. So Walter now has
the largest 42?
42 rooms. It's massive.
I'm going to Google it.
Oh, well, yeah, when you Google it, you're going to be like, this can't be right, but it is. Because remember, he's very into interesting decor, which I'll talk about in a second.
Okay.
So he moves to this massive, massive building. He now has the largest Black funeral home in the whole state of Ohio. Previously, this building had been a German singing club and then a hospital for immigrants and then a Hebrew institute. And now it is the new House of Wills. I see your face. You're looking at the pictures of it. So, again, he remodels it to add a little flavor, add a little spice with his decor, and he themes all of the rooms. There's a 60s themed room with a shag rug, a kidney-shaped table, and a half-moon couch called the Dream World Room. There's a room filled with dolls. There's a Greek-style chapel with large columns and decor. There's a casket showroom called the Cloud Room, a blue and yellow Egyptian slumber room with sphinx sculptures, engraved columns, stucco decor, and Egyptian motifs. And there were just so many more rooms like this. Like everything was something.
Okay, the kidney-shaped table is my favorite because that is it's very punny to me. I'll show. Okay.
Yeah, super cool. It was awesome.
Is it pink still? Do you know?
I believe so. It was abandoned. Well, I'll get to it, but it was abandoned and it's being restored currently. So I think if it's not
beautiful,
if it's somehow not pink right now, it will likely end up pink again because the person who purchased it is trying to bring it back to its former glory.
Okay. I love that is, I love when someone purchases something and decides to restore it because it probably would be easier just to like demolish it and rebuild. But for them to be like, this was such a historical place. Yes. Let's pay homage to it. It warms my little cold heart.
Yes. Yeah. Well, yeah. To your point too, I'll talk about it in a minute, but it definitely would have been easier for him, the new owner, to knock it down. And I'll tell you why in a second. But okay. So this place it's basically a theme park now. Like imagine being a little kid and having to go to this funeral home and feeling like, oh no, I'm about to experience something so sad because my relative passed or friend passed or something. But then you're just like in the coolest rooms ever. It just helps lift you up again a little bit. Yeah. And also they used a lot of these rooms for community-based events. So it was much more than just going and deciding what to do in terms of arrangements for your loved ones. Yeah. So eventually, let me also say this place held up to 8 funerals in one day and employed 50 people. I always picture funeral homes as like, I don't know, having maximum 5 people, which I could be completely wrong. But I was like, this place is huge. It's like a middle school.
I guess. Yeah. I feel like I've only been to one funeral home. And then all the other funerals I've been to are like in churches. But yeah, it was small. Like very, very small.
Yeah. Is that the hearse backing up to your door right now?
It might be. Beep, beep. My nemesis is here to kill me.
It's Colonel and the other 2 horses, Cleveland, and I can't remember all of their names. All right, so Walter lives a nice long life creates this amazing place for his community, is so well loved. House of Wills is like the place to be. Everybody
The
loves
place to
him.
die.
Yeah. Yes. To live and to die, because you do a lot of both in that place. So he passes away in 1967, and his adopted son keeps the business going. He expands it. They have 2 locations now operating at once. But this location, the one that you just looked at photos of and that we'll post on our Instagram, this location was shut down in 1996 and was abandoned. The home starts to fade.
1996, you said?
1996. Yeah. So it operated for quite some time. So let me remind myself. Let me scroll up. I did not put dates, but sometime during the Great Depression.
Yeah.
Or after
so
it
very
is
long
when
time.
they had to move into the new space. Yes.
Okay.
So it did operate for a very long time in this specific building. So it shuts down in 1996 and it's abandoned. And the home starts to fade. It starts to deteriorate. People break in. They steal all of the copper wiring. There's flooding. There's natural disasters. A lot of weather that goes in that messes up everything that's there. There are thieves walking through, probably plenty of teenagers and just like whoever going in and messing things up and whatnot. So it's a disaster inside. Old body bags and embalming fluids are strewn throughout the rooms. Old papers and records are littering tables and the floors. Collections of items belonging to the deceased are still there, like out in the open for basically anyone to take. And the once fanciful and lively decor is turned a bit more macabre, a bit more decrepit. Dancing around your nightmares. The kidney-shaped table haunting your dreams.
Turns into a real kidney.
It feels like, we've talked about it before, where there's these things called like the back rooms, where people essentially say back rooms are like a version of what happens beyond the like simulation that we're in, where you're like stuck on the in-between. The photos of this when it's abandoned, which I know you saw a few of them when you were looking, this feels like a back room to me. This feels like the weird, creepy place.
It's like the upside down version.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. That like everyone's like, you just get a bad feeling in there, which is so unfortunate because it was such a beautiful, beautiful place for people for so long.
Yeah.
Okay, so now it's a wreck. And then in 2010, so this is 14 years after it was left abandoned, Eric Freeman from LA buys the house. He hopes to restore it and use it for more community-based programs, basically give a second chance to it, to what Walter Wills had created. Yeah. And so he goes there. Initially, he's shocked by the condition of the property. And
did he buy it before? He bought it from like online,
sight unseen,
seeing photos.
Probably. Yeah. eBay. Craigslist. Probably. Something like that. Yeah. So people had contributed to the trash inside of it. Copper wiring was ripped from the walls.
Yeah.
But he said the reason that he felt like he could take on the project was because even though so much of this was like destroyed, very little was disturbed architecturally. So it still had the good bones. So he was like, ooh, I can do this. So he begins the project. You said that.
The good bones.
The good bones. The house has the bones that are good. But like you said before, where it would have been probably easier to just knock it down, that's very much the case because bless Eric and his friends, his friends were helping him restore. And he said it was near impossible because every time they got anything done, within a few days, people would break in and scalp and steal it all. So they were just
I thought you were going to say
restarting.
Like the ghosts were doing it, but that's worse.
No, I think the ghosts want it to be back to normal.
Yeah.
No, it was just like, people, I mean, it had been abandoned for so long. So I feel like, it just was, everyone thought it was so for them. Yeah, so it was very difficult. I'm sure he sunk a crap ton of money into this place. And he's still restoring it. So it's taking a long time. What he learned, even though he's intending to have this place for community outreach and community programs, what he learned was the people that are most interested in using this property weren't necessarily groups from the community, but paranormal investigators. Because this place looks very haunted. Our favorite. So for a hot second, Eric posts the property on Airbnb for $200 a night, which would get you access.
That's it?
Yeah. Yeah. You could freely wander the crematorium, embalming rooms, Egyptian caskets room, basement, but there was no electricity. There were no showers.
Of course not.
Cameras were encouraged. Ghost stories encouraged. But he also had said in the listing, or I don't know if it was in the listing or just him talking to reporters, that extra flashlights were also very much encouraged because something about the energy in the space, batteries would drain very quickly. It was like
I so wish that we
darkness.
could go do this. I wish it was still on Airbnb for $200. How cool would it be to do like a TGOG meetup? Not a live show, but like a paranormal investigation together.
Oh, that would be freaking fantastic. It would be so cool. And this place is so big too. It's like,
yeah,
I feel like it would be so fun because it's one of those things where you don't have to stick together. Like everyone can kind of meander and then you get spooked when you come into like another group of 4 in the hall and you're like, ah!
You're like creeping backwards out of a room and then you go back into, it's you.
Yes. Yes. What if you creep backwards into a room and then you end up in the same room you were creeping backwards into? And you're like stuck in this glitch forever.
And then I would die and give my role of the podcast to my nemesis and come back as a spiteful spirit.
You can't die yet though because you don't have a nemesis. So
I know. I need to, gosh, life goals. I need a nemesis
put in
first.
work, man. What are you doing? Just too
work
kind.
harder.
Work harder. Pick on more people.
Making
create more fights.
nemesis.
Yeah.
Yes.
You can do like a casual nemesis. Maybe it's more of just like a competition of good spirits. I don't know. Like we're like no one's actually mad. I don't know. I'm trying to think of a way.
Like, hated anyone. Yeah.
Oh gosh, I have.
I
probably still do. A lot of people are like,
I believe it.
Let go of things. I should be more therapized than I am. This is what I've come to learn. I don't like forgiving
We all
people.
could. You hold you hold grudges.
You could be a spiteful spirit, but I'm a spiteful living human being. So
yeah.
Whatever. I'm happy.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's overwhelming how many people want to stay at this Airbnb listing. So Eric's like, never mind. I'm removing the listing. I'm just going to focus on other things. So he then opens it up to architectural tours and ghost tours. So people can go in and take a tour of this home, and you still can. And there are a lot of ghosts because this place was both a funeral home and once a hospital and many other things. So it has seen plenty of deaths and bodies.
Yeah.
The last death being in 2006 on the front door of the property. This poor person was murdered.
Oh my gosh.
Died right there. I know, very sad.
What?
In 2006, it was abandoned too. So that person was probably just trying to find cover and succumbed to their injuries.
Aww.
Yes. So visitors have reported hearing ghostly footsteps and seeing shadow figures dart around. People have heard their name being called out to them when there's nobody else present. There are orbs, there are EVPs, bangs and rustling noises heard from deep within the building. And a man in a white suit is often seen wandering the property, which many people believe is Walter Wills, just keeping an eye on his property and making sure nothing too bad happens to it. So it definitely sounds a lot like a lot of the hauntings that we have heard before. You know, you're like run-of-the-mill, orbs, noises,
sounds,
occasional spectral image. Yes.
Yeah.
But there's one thing that's very odd here.
Okay.
Beyond the sphinxes and the Greek columns, beyond the saturated furniture and the elaborately carved ceilings, in the casket display room, the cloud room, as people call it, it is a large ballroom that had numerous caskets inside it once upon a time. And now replacing the caskets is a mist that grows larger.
A mist?
And swirls for several moments before disappearing. A portal has opened up. There is a swirling
was not
vortex.
Thinking portal, but oh my gosh.
Yes. So this place, you can look at it online, and we'll find a photo and post it on our Instagram too. And I know we always say we're going to post on Instagram, but we actually will. I got to start writing these things down after we do the episode.
When
so
you
that I can
listen
remember.
back, you should like write it down. As
Write
you're
it down.
listening back.
I definitely need to. But so there's this room is huge. It almost looks like a indoor pool. Like it looks like a big like abandoned indoor pool because this thing was huge. Like
Okay.
this is where people would go and shop all of the caskets in this giant ballroom to choose which one they wanted their loved one to be buried in.
Yeah.
So it is massive, and I mean, from the photos, it looks windowless too. And so it just is very creepy that like people will walk in and basically will start seeing this thing start going and swirling.
Does it come towards them?
No, it just kind of gets bigger and stays for a few moments before disappearing.
Has anyone tried to go into it?
Maybe, but I'm sure they disappeared and we'll never find out.
I was so tempted.
And that's how you get sucked in and never to return.
Never come back.
Never come back. Yes.
What if it's better on the other side?
Well, maybe that's a risk you'll have to take. Is the grass greener in this new dimension? Maybe.
I don't know.
Speaking of diverging from this story for a second. So in paranormal news that we post on Patreon, which are like exclusive episodes, I had mentioned CERN and CERN's new project. And we talked about that a little bit on one of these episodes too. The last one or the one before. A bunch of people are saying that there's new glitches in the Matrix that have started. And
because of this?
Yes. And a lot of the old glitches in the Matrix, like the Berenstain Bears versus the Berenstein Bears, or like the name of Chick-fil-A and how to spell it and logos and whatever, are getting merged together. So now people are finding copies of like each version. Like someone has the Berenstain and the Berenstein.
I just got chills.
Yes. So everyone's freaking out and everyone's like figuring out
What
which
does it mean
timelines
for
they're
us?
from. I don't know. But here's my question to you.
Okay.
How do you think Chick-fil-A is spelled? Because this one made me really shocked.
Okay, see I'm not a good test subject for this because I've never gone to Chick-fil-A or ever entertained or wanted to go. So I don't really pay attention to that.
Yes. I think I've only been one time. But this is what I think I'm from, I would assume you're in the other dimension with me too. Unless we're like weirdly converging and there's like multiple versions of us that always do this podcast and we like don't know which one of us is here. But I'm fairly certain that this thing is real, like a real timeline shift, because I remember Chick-fil-A being CHIC and then -Phil-A. And then the like billboards was a cow saying eat more chicken with a K. Apparently, and actually, I don't know why I was talking about Chick-fil-A the other day, but I typed it out in my phone and it autocorrected to CHICK, like the real spelling of chick. And I was like, that's weird. And I looked it up and it said that spelling was correct. And I was like, this is really strange. And then I didn't really think about it too much until on TikTok, there's a big group of people being like, I'm from the CHIC timeline. And now I'm in the CHICK timeline. And I'm like, oh my God, I was from that timeline too.
It's so confounding.
It really is. Yeah. And people are, it's very.
How often do we jump back and forth?
I don't know.
And which one are we in? Like,
do we ever go back, or what happens to that previous timeline? Like, is it just absorbed?
I don't know.
I don't know either. Okay. So we're back at the funeral home.
Yes.
There's a vortex. There's a portal. No one knows really what happens or what it is. And perhaps I think maybe the new owner, Eric, might find out one day. He is a classic skeptic. He says he does not believe in spirits, but he's seen some stuff that he can't explain. Which is like the classic skeptic.
So it's like I believe, but I don't want to admit that I believe because that changes my reality.
You're like, I've seen a ghost, but I don't believe in ghosts. And you're like, what is it then? Which one are you?
It's like when people email us and they're like, I really haven't experienced much, and then email us like 100 experiences. And it's like,
yes.
Excuse me, say what?
Yeah, I'm like, okay. And then you're also saying that your brother has seen something and your mom and then your great-grandfather. I'm like, this is generational hauntings. Like, this is.
And that you also maybe your great-grandfather reincarnated.
Right. We're like, okay, but yeah, peace of mind if you don't believe in ghosts or want to say that, then that's,
you do you.
That's fine. But thanks for listening and thanks for emailing us. We enjoy that. Okay, so to end this, because that's pretty much all of the activity that's happened thus far,
Mm-hmm.
Eric is hoping to bring some new life to the building as well as some ghost hunts too. So maybe one day we'll be able to
Ooh.
go and do a TGOG ghost hunt there.
Yes.
But I do want to let everyone know that you can go on an architectural tour, you can go on a ghost tour, and on Halloween, they occasionally have Harry Houdini seances. To wrap it all back together for my Harry
Nice
Houdini
little
episode.
bow.
I know.
Okay, well, it feels like we have plans for next Halloween.
I know. Yes. You know what we should do? I think we already talked about this, but now that it is still July when this episode comes out, but nearing September and October when everyone starts to like do all the spooky things, we really need to compile a list of all of the really cool festivals
activities
and whatnot that are going on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Like what towns are
and
doing
like
what?
people's favorite, like I remember growing up in Jersey and like the haunted attractions, like haunted houses, haunted hay rides. And it was always my goal to find the scariest, best one. So we should put like that should be part of the list.
Wait, Sabrina, when you come out here, we'll have to find one nearby. No one ever wants to do this with me. But I went as a young kid. I don't know what my parents were thinking. There are corn mazes in New England that have people with like chainsaws or like it looks like a like hay bag or like potato bag, like the burlap sacks like stitched into their faces. And they don't walk the normal paths. They like cut through the corn at you. And it is so fun. At least I'm remembering as like an 11-year-old kid, it was the best. I think everyone else was scarred from the experience, but I really want to do it again.
I would love that. It is, as I've gotten older, and I really hope that no serial killers listen to this. But that would be the perfect place to
truly murder someone.
Because people are already screaming. People are already using chainsaws and like scaring people with them. And people are wearing masks. So you would like, no one would know your identity.
Wait, now I don't want to go. You ruined it for me.
You ruined it.
Oh, now I'm really scared. That is really disturbing. Well, I hope none of that happens. I know.
That's what I think about every day. So my brain is disturbing.
I feel like in order to prevent that from happening, I would hope that, because assuming that someone were to do that, I would think that they're also hoping to get away with it if they're going to like hide in the cornfield and not just be out in the open killing someone. I think that everybody who owns a haunted cornfield like this or maze should, it's required to have a drone constantly going over the top of it, like a surveillance. So you can chase them too. Like you'll know where they go in the corn because you can see them like running through. So they'll have to be caught.
Okay.
No murderers allowed. I'm going to buy 72,000 drones and I'm going to start a drone league where everybody gets assigned one drone. Everybody who listens to Two Girls One Ghost, you get assigned one drone and you have to monitor that drone.
Are you paying for all these drones?
It is volunteer based.
Okay.
Oh, the participation.
Bring your own drones.
But
BYOD.
Am I paying for it? No.
Okay.
So I don't know how I'm going to get the money.
Let's hope that more owners of cornfields listen to this than serial killers.
Oh, that would make me sad if we had a serial killer who listened to this. But it's like, how would you know? You don't.
And they cite us as their, like, if they get caught, they're like, well, Two Girls, One Ghost gave me the idea. And then I would feel very, very guilty. Leia too. Apparently. Okay. Corinne, before I tell you about my funeral home, I have a question for you.
Okay.
What would you do?
Involving the audience. I raise your hand if you've ever. This is what I feel like is happening.
It's never have I ever about ghosts. Never have I ever been possessed by a demon. Drink if you have.
I haven't, not that I remember.
That we know of. Okay. What would you do if you moved into an apartment within a stunning historic mansion? just blocks
Ooh.
from the downtown area of your small town.
I like this.
And it's like beautiful. It's great. But then your first night there, you wake up at 2 a.m. to disembodied voices and whistling in your ear.
I would do what Leia's doing right now. I would scream.
Yeah.
That sounds horrifying.
Come here.
Unprepared.
Come here, chatty catty. She's like, I want to tell the story.
Yes. She's like, that's what happened to me. And then I was cursed and put into a cat's body.
Sometimes
A
I do
human
wonder
being.
if Leia's communications to me are like, I have a ghost story and I want to tell you about my past life.
I bet it is. You should get a pet psychic.
Oh, we should have one on the show one day.
I was just thinking that. We should definitely do that with Leia one time.
Like a special?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, we're going to do some research into pet psychics. I
Okay.
like this a lot.
Put this in your business ideas notes that you have for
Okay.
us.
I am.
Okay.
I'm writing it in right now.
Okay.
As you tell
So
the story.
you would scream if this happened to you.
Absolutely.
A lot of people this happened to. And
Oh, God.
many people moved out because that is what happens at the Jewett House in Mason, Michigan. Built in 1855, the Jewett House was home to many prominent figures in history and then housed a tea house during the Great Depression before turning into the Jewett Funeral Home. It then went on to be a rental property, but like I painted the picture in that question I asked you, many tenants moved out just as quickly as they moved in because no one really signs up to have ghostly roommates. Unless I guess you buy like the Conjuring house or one of those houses that you know is haunted and it's like,
Right.
then I don't feel bad for you because you
Mhm.
asked for it. So the Jewett House is stunning. It was built in 1855 by a wealthy developer whose name was J.P. Coastworth and is one of the most well-known and significant houses in the small community of Mason, Michigan. And the former mayor, Orlando Barnes, lived there until 1910. And then it became a tea house during the Great Depression, which some people were like, yeah, it wasn't a tea house. It's prohibition. This was for sure like a secret cover for, you know, a place where people can drink and
Right.
do their illicit activities.
The tea houses just make me think of, did you ever have a fake ID when you were younger?
Oh, for sure.
Okay. So ID Chief, which is where so many people got their IDs
Yeah.
from. That's where I got mine from. And it was hidden in a tea set, in a teacup set
Oh.
that came over from China. And I had to like break the tea set.
No
To
way.
get it.
That's so
Yeah.
crazy.
So it was very prohibition.
Very. I'm pretty sure we just like had a friend and met them and grabbed them.
Oh, they were just like dishing it out. Yeah, no, I
Yeah.
distinctly remember mine being in a tea set.
That's cool.
It is.
It's very the
Totally
doll
illegal,
in
but-
Stranger Things. Yeah, totally illegal. Well, don't arrest us.
Whoops.
We're of age now. You know what? It's part of life.
Yeah.
It's fine.
And if the police come for me now, it was hearsay.
yeah, they've
It's
no
not
proof.
a true admission of guilt. Yeah, show me
I
the
don't
proof.
still have it. Yeah.
I totally do.
You do.
Framed. Oh yeah, it was a good one.
I think I got mine taken away.
Oh really? Oh shoot. Yeah,
And
that
I'm pretty
happens.
sure I looked up the address that was on the ID and it was like an empty parking lot in Pennsylvania. So like it just like wasn't even real.
Yeah, but if anyone looked it up, you can be like, oh yeah, like that. I don't know why Google Earth hasn't updated, but it's new residential buildings and my parents live there. Just be like, oh
Hmm.
yeah, that's my parents' new condo building. I don't know why it's showing up. You gotta lie with conviction.
I would just like break down and cry and be like, I'm so sorry.
It reminds me of. Never mind. We can get back to the ghost stories.
Now I'm curious what you're gonna say.
It was. Do you remember freshman year of college where a bunch of us went out and were at
At haciendas?
haciendas?
Yeah.
Yes. And everybody got a citation for underage drinking except for me. I gave my fake ID to the cops, but I was the only one that got away with it. And it's because everybody else started crying, but I was already I was in the middle of the table, so I had some time to think about it. And my enchiladas had just gotten there. And I was like, I want to eat my enchiladas. And I just thought, you know what? It is what it is. I'm not going to let this ruin my night. I'm going to keep drinking my drink. They can't get me.
As they're there.
What did they? They're already going to
take
charge
it away.
me. Like they're going to write it for more. They can't. Yeah. It didn't matter how much I drank. So I was going to enjoy I don't even know what I got, like a slushy margarita or something, and my enchiladas. And I just like continued eating and drinking. And to them, they thought, this girl must have nothing to worry about. She must be the one that's legal. So they thought I was the ringleader dishing out the IDs. I gave them my fake ID. And then they were like, are we going to find any more fake IDs in there? And I said, no, I can assure you, you're not going to find any more. Because I'd given them my one.
Yeah.
They handed it back. And
they handed it back.
Yeah. They thought it was real. And that I was giving everybody else their fake IDs. So I walked out of that restaurant and I sprinted home because I was like, oh no, what if they changed their mind? Yeah, I was the only one that got away.
Corinne.
So lesson learned, just keep eating your enchiladas and sipping on your drink because they can't get you for being more drunk.
I mean, they can, for sure.
Yeah, I was going to get the same level of citation regardless. I was like, I'll sip my pitcher.
I don't even know how we got here. But anyway.
I don't know.
Teapots, prohibition, here we are. The Jewett House. So after it was the tea house, it became a funeral home from the 1930s to the 1990s. And you know what that means. Lots and lots of dead bodies. Lots and lots of grief.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I actually am so excited. And I had texted you the other day, Corinne, and I was like, we should do a haunted real estate episode and like what's on the market right now and what's haunted. Because as I was researching this episode, I found all these really cool articles about the house when it was on the market recently. So it was just recently listed for sale. And so lucky for us, we have a ton of access to an inside look of the house. And there were tons of articles explaining the history and the interior design. And basically it's great because we can all enjoy it. So it's located at 605 South Jefferson Street in Mason, Michigan. The Jewett House is nearly 4,000 square foot. It's a Victorian Italianate mansion with a large stone porch and a steeple at the top. It's 4 bedrooms, 3.5 baths. It's a corner lot. It has hardwood floor and original crown molding.
Oh, the corner lot, hardwood floor, original crown molding. Done.
I know.
Sounds so good.
If you want to look up the Zillow listing as I explain it to you,
I do.
You will. So 605 South Jefferson Street in Michigan.
Okay.
The owners throughout the years have taken such good care of it that when it hit the market, it was such a rare find. It's a historical mansion that has original pieces and is not at risk of caving in on top of you, which is great. The houses, basically all the articles were like, houses aren't made like this anymore. It's so beautiful. And guess, well, now you're looking, but it sold. It was first listed for $299,000 in 2017, then taken off the market in January of 2018, and basically eventually sold in May of 2018 for $250K. $250,000. Why don't we move there?
I'm realizing to many people who don't live in the cities that we live in that still may feel very expensive. But
I know.
For Los Angeles, which is where you are, and for Boston, which is where I am,
I can't even buy like a bathroom for that amount.
No. I've never even seen like a piece of land. Like I can't even buy like 10,000 square foot piece of land for that.
Yeah. The space that I'm in that you can see right now would probably cost that much money.
Oh, 1,000%. I was looking in Boston for condos the other day just out of curiosity. And the condos that are like 500 square feet, like 474 are still, everything is over $500,000.
Yeah. It's absurd. We are living in the wrong places.
We missed out.
So I'm going to quote the Lansing State Journal a bunch of times because they did a really good job of describing the interior of the home. It sits on about half an acre of land, and most of the home's oak trim, high archways, and brass light fixtures are original to the house. There are some wood-burning fireplaces. One hearth is made of Italian marble. There's a double double-door entryway that opens to a foyer with impressive and wide grand staircase. There is a first floor room with copper ceiling, and the second floor ceiling is ornate tin, again original to the house.
Yes, let me zoom in on this ceiling for everybody right now. That's this. Ooh.
Oh, Corinne and technology again.
Look on Instagram. I know how to use that. So
yes. There's a second staircase up to the third floor, which at one time housed servants, which apparently was not normal during the time that this house was built. So the developer basically had like gone above and beyond and created new types of amenities in homes that didn't exist before, at least in this area. There was a 200 square foot insulated 3 seasons room added to the house with skylights and plenty of windows. So it's basically like this gorgeous sunroom. There's a 4-car garage. The entire house has so many windows, meaning it has tons of natural light and is very bright and airy. And Corinne, despite it being haunted and the fact that it's no longer on the market, it has central air and a heating system. And it's beautiful. So you guys can look it up on Zillow. As I said, 650 South Jefferson Street in Mason, Michigan. But this is not a real estate podcast. This is a ghost story podcast. So let's get to the ghosts.
Okay.
The Jewett family bought the house in the late 1920s and converted it into a funeral home. They raised their children there and served the Mason area until 1990. From my research, it sounds like there wasn't anything too bizarre occurring during those days. Or maybe the family welcomed the spirits because they were accustomed to the activity. You know, they were in the business of death. So maybe they weren't off-put by it. I don't know. I am curious, like, it does seem like a type of place that would be really haunted by spirits, but I guess if it's also like a place of putting someone to rest, maybe it's not. I don't know.
Well, that's another interesting thing too, because like presumably a lot happens to a body before it gets there and after it's there. So this is really just a transition house.
Yeah.
Like it's not where the spirit dies. It's not where an autopsy is necessarily done to determine cause of death. And it's not their final resting spot. It's just like a preparation and viewing room. So I understand that anywhere there can be spirits and anywhere there can be like an attachment and an association. But
it's so interesting because like if I'm thinking psychologically from a spirit's perspective, like say you die in like a unexpected way, I imagine the place of death would be a place where your spirit like comes out of your body and is like very confused, and that's like a tumultuous experience mentally. But then there's the what if like your spirit takes a minute to like come out of your body and you're at the morgue, and that's a place where it could be. Or if you're at the funeral home when you're like having the service and you see your family members grieving over you, I imagine that also could trigger a spirit to be active in a way.
Right. Especially if you have all of your family members and friends. Like if that's where the viewing is and that's where the funeral is, like that's where you have the most energy and collection of memories in one place.
But I don't know. So, in 1990, the funeral home shut down and the house became a rental property, but people and families moved in only to immediately start experiencing haunted phenomenon. And it actually made me wonder if you own a place that's haunted and knowingly haunted and you're renting it out, would you put it into the contract? Like, hauntings are not a reason to break this contract, and it's like in small fine print because no one's really reading it.
Do you have to admit that there are hauntings there? Is that even required?
I don't think so, but what if someone tries to get out of the contract of the rental agreement because it's haunted? So
but that's when you gaslight them and you say ghosts aren't real.
Both situations are pretty bad. I guess I could put like a side clause, like you can get out if it's a demon, but not if it's just regular ghosts.
Yeah.
Tenants complained of footsteps on the second floor, disembodied voices, cigar smoke, toys and other objects moving on their own, and whistling in the middle of the night. And those were just a couple of the complaints. One tenant apparently moved out at 2 a.m. due to all of the paranormal activity they were experiencing.
Ugh.
And the Michigan Area Paranormal Society has visited and investigated the Jewett House on multiple occasions, and every single time they have experienced something otherworldly. They've said that the more that they investigate the home, the more they learn and the more the spirits come out to communicate with them, and they are getting more comfortable with the group, which I just imagine like it's kind of like a cat, you know, warming up to you. But now every time this group comes back, the spirits are like, oh my gosh, it's them. Hello, 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 hello.
I feel like that makes so much sense, though, because if you think about places that you can tour and there are tour guides that regularly spend time, I feel like the tour guides have the most amount of interaction.
Yeah, they have relationships.
The spirits get comfortable and realize this isn't just like some stranger anymore.
Yeah.
They trust them.
So most of the paranormal, like recorded paranormal activity is all thanks to the Michigan Area Paranormal Society. They've caught EVPs and communicated with the spirits of Alton Jewett, Art Jewett, and Art BFFL Duffy. Ooh.
Duffy.
Okay, new idea. Merch.
Yes.
I feel like we are such entrepreneurs.
Grabbing my notes.
Let's make friendship bracelets that say, okay, either BFFTD, best friends through death, or no. BFFEIAL, best friends even in the afterlife.
But okay.
It's a little wordy, a lettery. Befeel. And it has to be said that way too. We can come up with something better. Comment below. That's my new thing that I'm going to do.
Comment below.
People don't do it yet, but maybe one day they will. The MAPS group, Michigan Area Paranormal Society, also heard a little boy named Michael in the basement. And apparently there was an EVP caught that the spirit said, they sent me here to stay, which is like super sad and ominous. So people are like, did a kid die in this basement? Or in my opinion, I was like, did the Jewett family like embalm a child named Michael in the basement, and his spirit was confused and like saw his body there, and this like, and he's been his spirit has trapped there.
Right. I don't know. It also makes, okay, I'm going to actually take a dark twist.
Of course.
There's a lot of places that have a lot of death that have one particular spirit or creature or entity or whatever you want to call it that does bad things or controls the other spirits there in a negative way. What if there's something lurking here too that is preventing spirits from crossing over and is keeping them and trapping them in the home with it? And
that's not even dark. That's just sad.
Had to stay because he was blocked from the light.
I don't know. I know. It does seem like this paranormal society has been doing a lot of work in the house and continues to, and so hopefully they're able to figure it out. There's another common haunting of another child. It's a 6-year-old girl, Rachel. Excuse me. Who I guess we are human after all. Okay. Rachel lingers in the front room and grabs people's hands and tugs on their clothing. No one really knows who she is, where she's from. It's another mystery. Many people have seen shadow people peeking around corners. And during the Christmas holidays, so this makes me think the spirits are good. Or maybe. Tenants and residents have said Christmas tree ornaments are found all over the floor when they wake up in the mornings, which could mean it's a spirit that loves Christmas, or it could mean that there's like a little Grinch ghost, or it could mean that there's a ghost cat, or it could mean there's a ghost who's like, these ornaments are all wrong.
All wrong. Doesn't fit my color scheme. Oh. Or it's just, I mean, I don't really know the history of or like when we started decorating Christmas trees with ornaments.
That's a cool tradition to learn about.
Yeah. So maybe there's a spirit there that's just like, what the hell are they doing to these trees? And just shaking them. loosening them
Huh.
up, bringing the trees back to their natural state.
Yeah, maybe.
I like the idea that there's like a little Grinch, a little mini Grinch
Yeah.
spirit running around.
And not getting too far with the ornaments.
Yes.
A lot of people have experienced waves of nausea in the house. And I wish very badly that we could speak to, because now the house is owned. A family purchased it in 2018. It's a family. They live there. They apparently are aware of the hauntings, but have asked people to respect their privacy. But I don't want to respect their privacy. I would like to communicate with them.
They've
No, I
asked for
will.
respect and I decline.
Maybe they're my new nemesis.
Oh, yes. Or all of the hotels and places that have not wanted us to talk about
Yes.
the hauntings
Oh,
there.
gosh. Then there's a long list. Long list. What I do love, though, is that the family that owns the house has been working with the Michigan Area Paranormal Society and still allows the group to come investigate the home. They have had experiences themselves, so I think they're working together with the Paranormal Society to try to understand the spirits. But they still live there. They have not listed it. So it does seem like they are okay with the spirits, or the spirits aren't evil that we know of.
Okay. Well, that's good. That's positive.
Yeah.
So generally, there's just a lot of, I mean, it sounds like the only Grinchy thing to happen is the Christmas ornament removal. But otherwise,
Yeah.
it's just some children, some like tugging of the clothes.
And then
just-
the family members who owned the funeral home.
Right. Like it's
Yeah.
paranormally active, but there's nothing menacing happening.
Yeah, I agree. Which is
Which,
the best type of haunting.
yes, if you're open to it and feel comfortable around the spirits, then totally. But I can also imagine just generally being like, I don't want to be touched when I don't expect to be. I don't want to
I feel
be
that
around
way
this.
in normal life about humans. So I
True.
imagine a ghost touching me would be like, please, why?
Have a little tug. Have you ever been touched before by a spirit?
That's a good question.
A little tap on the
No.
arm or something?
I don't think so.
I've only had my hair touched, physically touched. And then I had that spirit that would tuck me into bed, like down my
Yeah.
body. But that was the fabric getting tucked underneath me.
Right.
It sounds so weird when you say it, but it was really comforting when it was happening. Getting
Yeah, I mean, that's a
cocooned.
comforting action, just like being cocooned into your blankets.
Yeah. But otherwise, it's
It
just
would be
been my
different
hair.
if like you felt like something was on top of you holding the fabric down, because that's
Right.
scary. But a nice little tuck, 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 tuck.
I had in my car one
Yeah.
time, my hair pulled out to the side like this. And that was
As you were driving?
scary because it was like middle of the day and I was driving and it was like, tee, tee, tee. And I was like, stop touching me. Oh, that was
Wow.
scary. Because you're trapped. What are you going to do? You're like
And you're
flying
driving, you're operating
60
a
miles
vehicle.
an hour. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. You can't just freak out. It's dangerous.
That's very
So-
dangerous. Ghosts, respect the driver's
Please.
safety, please.
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 Wow. Okay. So, for a topic that could have been, that made me think a lot of dark entities, we both found places that have pretty heartwarming pasts or just like kind spirits within.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the misconception, right? That maybe comes along with the death business of, oh, it must be negative, or it must like create negative spirits. But if you think about it, they're in the business of like servicing the spirit and the human form that they had, and
You're right.
allowing their, like, if they're putting the human body to rest, it's then insinuating that they're allowing the spirit to move forward into like the new reality of whatever it is. So it is a very positive
Yeah.
spin
It's
of life.
Customer service for ghosts. It is. You're right. It's humans
Oh.
servicing the spirit world.
Oh my gosh.
And also
Customer
this is
service for ghosts.
customer service for ghosts. This is this is similar to cemeteries. Like when we first started the podcast,
Yeah.
we were always thinking like, oh, cemeteries, they're so haunted. They're so creepy. Because that's the typical thing that people are like, cemeteries. And they're
Yeah.
not. They're some of the most peaceful places ever. Like if you were going to go ghost hunting, you're almost better off just walking into a random hotel and seeing a spirit or experiencing something than
100%.
going into a cemetery. So
Yeah.
this is kind of similar to that.
You're right. Yeah. Well, so maybe it's the only funeral home that I can know of that's not okay. What was there's like that there's a horror movie made about it. Is it the one in Connecticut? Was the house of
the
haunting
the Conjuring, the Perrin house, where the Perrin family was? Wasn't that at one time?
I thought it was the Haunting of Connecticut. That house used to be a funeral home.
I'm getting all
It's
mixed
one that
up
you
now.
covered.
I did do the Haunting of Connecticut house, but it's making me. I'm very confused. There's no chance I remember any of the details. Anything I say right now is going to be
Let's see.
a partial truth.
Was it? See, this is going to take too long for me to figure out. The Snedeker house, whatever.
Oh, the Snedeker house. Yes. You're right. That sounds totally right.
Yeah, it was
Connecticut?
I'm proud of my brain.
You go, brain. You have both of the brain cells today.
Yeah.
Or the full
It was
one.
a former funeral home where morticians regularly practiced, necromancy.
Oh, I don't remember that from the story. Maybe
I don't remember that either,
part.
but that's, I mean, it's Wikipedia. How much can we trust it? I don't know. Whoa. Okay. But
I
was
trust
right.
Wikipedia fully.
Proud of myself.
Yes. Good job. And you
Good job,
remembered where
brain.
it was.
Listener stories.
Listener stories. Man, it's just amazing to see how many experiences people have within all of these themes and categories that we choose to cover. It's like you put in the search terms in the inbox. I'm like, funeral home. And I'm like, oh, whoa. That's
so many.
It's
shocking.
People are experiencing things for sure. Yes.
Yes.
It is shocking. Alrighty. So I picked a listener story from Jessica. Hi from Texas. Just started listening to you guys and I love the podcast. So my name is Jessica and here are two of my encounters. When I was younger, my mom was an amazing single mom. While she was pregnant with me, she did hair and makeup at a funeral home to try to make ends meet. One day, while at the water fountain, she felt as if someone was standing directly behind her, but nobody was there. She brushed it off as nothing and went on with her day. That night, she dreamed that she was at work walking down a long hall. This was the long hall with the rooms where they worked on the bodies, no less. And around the corner, a woman was floating, wearing a long emerald green ball gown with the most beautiful long red curly hair.
Oh.
My mom went to work the next day and told her coworkers about the dream. One woman said to her, "Oh, that's Nadine, the office ghost. She does that with all of the new people here. How fun." My mom worked there for a while, and I guess she got used to all of the things that would happen, mainly when kids were brought in. Oh, she heard screaming with no one there but her and another person in the office. Someone once saw a glowing golden ring floating over a young boy that had passed. Footsteps have been heard and much more. What's a little strange now is that I've been told that when I was 14 years old that I had some sort of gift. I'm now 28 and recently I had 2 dreams of this funeral home. I told my mom of the long white
Had she
hallway.
ever been there?
I don't know.
Okay. Curious.
We need, Jessica, please follow up with us and let us know.
Yeah.
I told my mom about the dream and dreaming of these long white hallways with the doors on the right side, and on the left at the top of the wall there was a rectangular shaped windows. Then my other dream that I had about this place, I was standing in the courtyard. The building itself was sort of a U shape with a chapel on the left and the offices in front of me and off to the left. I remember looking into these very large arched windows with almost a brown tint to them, and a woman was at the top of one of the windows in a green dress staring back at me.
The same woman?
The same woman. In the dream, I squeezed my eyes as tight as I possibly could, and after I opened them, she was still there staring at me. And then I woke up. My
Oh.
mom stared at me with shock, saying the last time I was there, I was maybe 2. Oh, here's our answer. I shouldn't be able to remember anything about what this place looked like, but I vividly dreamed it. I wonder if it's Nadine sending me a sign of some sort. And then she wrote another story, because I'm super odd. When I was a baby, I lived in an apartment complex called Sugar Hill Apartments. This complex was interesting to say the least. My mom could come home, just my mom and a baby, and find either my diapers knocked all around the ground or pictures that she'd hung up, now crooked and no longer on the wall sometimes. She once had a picture of me in front of our fireplace for a Christmas picture, and when it developed, it looked like I was sitting in a puddle of blood. All of the other pictures were perfect with no issues. At some point after showing friends and such, she lost that picture. When I was about
What?
2, my little sister was born. Eventually, we moved into another unit in the same complex. This was a 1-bedroom with a den, which my mom used as her bedroom, and my sister and I shared the actual bedroom. I don't have many memories of that place, but one thing I do remember was fairly odd. One day, while me and my little sister were playing in the living room, my mom came out of her room, the den, from her nap and told us that we were being way too loud. She then proceeded to clean up our mess, toys and stuff all over the place. My sister kept one blanket with her a lot, and my mom picked up the blanket, crumpled it, and tried to throw it. And when it landed, it went completely flat. No wrinkles, no folds, nothing. Being so small, my sister and I and my mom just went, "Oh, mommy did magic, do it again." And so she did it again. 3 times she did this, and the blanket went flat every single time. The same weird things from the old unit would happen, and I remember specifically all of this because my mom's face was absolutely terrified. We moved out to our first house not long after. Hope you enjoyed these. Bye, Jessica.
Okay, well, Jessica clearly is like spiritually in tune.
Yeah.
And it is interesting because I think it was she said in the beginning, like her mom started working there when she was pregnant with Jessica, right? So maybe this spirit at the funeral home, Nadine, just took a liking to Jessica and her mom and kind of like imprinted herself onto them.
Yeah.
So the memory in that dream was less of Jessica's memory of remembering every single detail about the funeral home, but more of Nadine sharing it with her.
You're making me
and checking
think
in.
of basically memories acting as portals. What if spirits can haunt and travel through time and doors based on where people have memories of places?
That is
Isn't that
so
interesting?
freaking cool.
TM, we'll write something about it. I'll write a book, you write a movie.
TM to a concept that we just made up but might exist that we think is a real thing.
Yeah, I don't think we own any intellectual property there.
But we said TM, so perhaps we do.
Yeah. So maybe. I don't know. We'll see. It is interesting though. It kind of reminds me of the movie Looper, where they can teleport into photos. Wherever you're looking at a photo, you can just blip into there. And it would be interesting if that exists in memories.
You would need, though, the like recorder of memories, and then you can replay it, and then people can go into them.
Yeah. It just makes you, if hauntings could happen this way, it would be very stressful to try to forget about something for fear of being haunted. Like let's say we went to see Robert the Doll or something, and we're like, oh, we don't want Robert the Doll to haunt us. And so then I feel like you would just think even more about the place that you're trying to forget because you're paranoid about that place.
Yeah. It's interesting because I think the other thing would be really difficult about that is then do you start to question your reality if ghosts can come into memories in your dreams? Does it then change or make you question what the reality of that memory actually is?
Oh, that's true, because they're rewriting the memory.
I've been having and this has been happening to me a lot lately, and I don't know if I've talked about it on the podcast because I don't know. My brain is like really whack. I've been having a really hard time distinguishing between reality and dreams.
Mm-hmm.
Like
it's because of CERN. You're probably living two different lives every single time. Ooh.
I'm having like in my mind, it was a memory. And Nick and I were at dinner with two of our friends, and Nick turned to me and asked a question, and we like had a conversation about something with our friends that then in my normal life, I was thinking about it. And I was like, did that actually happen? And so I asked Nick, and he goes, that never happened. And I was like, but it feels so real.
Yeah. I know exactly what you're talking about. And it makes no sense why you would dream it too, because it's like, why would I dream this? This is like such a normal, basic, sort of mundane dream. Like you're just having regular conversations.
Like that's happening to me all the time.
Yes, I totally get where you're coming from, because that happens to me often too. And it's really hard to distinguish between what has been said and what hasn't. Because sometimes you tell someone something that you actually need to tell them, and you like, they acknowledge it. And then in apparently like this normal waking life,
it didn't happen.
You're now, you're behind on your tasks or information sharing or whatever. It really is.
Are there any doctors out there who could tell me if I need to go get a brain scan?
I think it's just living different lives. When we sleep, we are in another life.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have a listener story from a listener who asked us to give them a cool name if we read the story on the podcast. So what should we give? This
Geraldine.
Is like I do like Geraldine. Okay.
Why? No, you do it. What did you want?
Well, I was going to say like my dream name that I wish I was given when I was a child is Charlie. So I was going to call our listener Charlie.
Okay, I do that. Charlie.
Okay. But then if I don't like what happened to Charlie, then I'll give the name Geraldine.
Then it's Charizard. Then we just
then it's a Pokemon.
Then we go into nicknames of Charlie and Pokemon. Yes.
Great. Okay. Hello, Corinne, Sabrina, and Leia. In no particular order, I adore you all equally. I think I may have emailed a while ago, but I'm not positive. A brief synopsis, in case I didn't, is that I have never seen anything supernatural, but others experience things around me often. A new fun thing that has been happening is people seeing something standing beside me that isn't there.
Oh!
I say something because I have been told there is a dark aura around me or mass beside me. However, a girl recently said that she saw her dead relative next to me. So, it may be a ghost, but it also may not. I should mention that I am a funeral director and see dead physical bodies and their surviving families daily. I never see ghosts or anything like that, but I'll tell you about those experiences around me now. One day, a woman brought her daughter to the funeral home to make arrangements for her father. The little girl kept smiling at me, and I thought she was just shy and being cute, so I would smile back. But then she tapped on her mom's shoulder and pointed to me and said, "Papa is smiling at us." Her mom said something about me not being Papa, and the girl corrected her and said, "No, Papa is standing next to her." Me being the her. I just smiled and said, "That's sweet," and we all kind of chuckled. It was great. Recently, I was attending a service when an elderly woman told me that she had been watching a darkness trail behind me whenever I moved around the chapel. I've always suspected that I had a darkness following me because of my troubles with depression and anxiety. I assured the elderly woman that I was okay, and I hoped that I didn't disrupt the funeral service for her. I'm still not sure exactly what is around me or if it's me that's putting off the bad vibe. My grandma was a practicing witch of some sort, but I never knew her as she passed away when I was very young. I always thought that she would be a guardian for me, but I get the feeling that she was not really motherly to her children, so maybe she's the darkness that follows me. I am not very spiritual, but I try to be, and I frequent metaphysical shops in my free time. Another curious thing that has happened 4 times is when I visit a new shop, the owner comes to me and suggests that I look into railroad spikes/nails for protection.
What?
So now I own a collection of railroad spikes and nails. That's so interesting. I've never heard of that before. And for 4 different owners to say that to Charlie?
I know. What does it mean? What is it for? What does
I
it
don't
do?
know. We'll
I
have
mean,
to ask.
I know.
Or
I
look it up.
immediately think like, oh, the classic like vampires coming for Charlie, and so they get to use that. But that's not the same as a wooden spike, and also that's just not totally right for vampires anyway. But
Oh, this is really interesting. Okay. Charlie says, I keep one in my car due to my bad luck with accidents. And since I put it in my car, I haven't had one since. She said, I've been in 4 accidents in 2 years. None were my fault, and all were total losses for my car. I highly recommend railroad spikes. Maybe I need to do that.
Yeah. And
I'm
also, if the fact that the cars were totaled, thank goodness Charlie's okay.
Yeah.
Serious.
I'm going to keep on keeping on till the day I don't, and that is perfectly fine with me.
Till the day I don't. I'll keep going until I'm no longer. It's like,
Wait.
okay.
It's so funny because I feel like our listeners say the funniest things, and we should just have a series of shirts, like the one that's like, listen to TGOG to drown out the bitches. And then this, keep on keeping on until the day I don't. Like, that is
until
hilarious.
the day I don't. I know. We just need like a running Excel list of all these funny things too. So funny.
I think your podcast is so fun, and I wish I could experience some of the nice encounters you guys talk about. I don't mind if you want to read my story on your podcast. However, please don't share my name because I don't want my friends that listen to know that I know about the ghost. Love you, Charlie.
Just playing the denial card.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Although I imagine it would be kind of hard to explain when people are like, why do you keep so many railroad spikes in your car and in your home and in your pockets and jacket?
Maybe they're hidden so no one will know.
Yeah. Or maybe, I bet you could have one fashioned into a ring, don't you think? And then you could just wear it as a ring.
That's a cool idea.
Yeah. I'm sure you could.
That would look really cool too.
Yeah. And then there's your protection. It's on you all the time. Always.
I'm going to do that.
It's so interesting. We need to look at what this means. What do railroad spikes do?
I'll follow up with Charlie too and ask. But okay. I'm so curious. It's really fascinating how Charlie can feel and sense that there is something following her, but that her being also brings about other spirits. Even though she can't see them, and maybe it's her role as a funeral director, I don't know, but the fact that people at the funeral home and during services can see their loved ones around her. Right. It's like she's a conduit.
It also made me wonder because she was saying there was something, other people have seen like something dark next to her. And not saying that dark equals evil in this scenario, but I'm almost wondering if it's more of like what if there's some sort of creature or spirit that we don't understand what it is, but it's there to like help people and heal people, basically like an angel where it like appears dark and scary, but it shows people the reflection of what they need to see, which at the time is, and where she works for a lot of people, is their past loved one. Yeah, it's like a reflection pool of a spirit to help others heal.
It's a portal. What if it's a portal that spirits can come? She is a walking portal.
Yes, apparently. Ooh, I want to meet Charlie. I want to see what I see.
Yeah, what do you see when you're with Charlie?
Yes. Wow. And it also sounds like a lot of people that might not ordinarily see spirits experience stuff when in Charlie's presence.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, maybe we'll get lucky enough to meet Charlie one day.
And keep on until we
don't.
With Charlie. All of us together. We will keep on keeping on until we don't.
Until we don't.
And until you don't, please send us your ghost stories your encounters with the otherworldly, the supernatural, the aliens, the cryptids, whatever it may be, email them to us at twogirlsoneghostpodcast@gmail.com. And also come join us live on Spotify Live every Tuesday for Campfire Stories at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. And you can share your stories verbally with us and chat with all the cool ghosty pals, the phantoms, on Spotify Live.
Exactly. We also have social media, so you can follow us on all the social media platforms. There's Facebook group, there's Discord, we have YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, all that jazz. For interview on iTunes, shop our merch, do the things.
All the
Join
things.
the pyramid scheme. Get lost in the triangle, baby.
Get lost.
Yeah.
What did we? There was like one tentacly one we liked.
I don't remember. This feels like a cow udder. I want to like grab your finger and milk it.
Milk me in the triangle. Wait, that's weird. Okay.
Do you want to milk Sabrina in the triangle? Join our OnlyFans for just $10.99 a month.
Do you want to watch Corinne milk me in the triangle?
It smells very like alien
This
porn,
got
doesn't
weird.
it? It's kind of weird. You said it. I'm just going
know. What's wrong? You know, sometimes when like I feel like I'm the type of person where I overthink everything. So like when I say things, it's because I've thought about saying it like for 10 minutes. But then sometimes I get too comfortable where I forget to like process the thoughts and then I just let them come out.
To tuck
and that
the little
is when
intrusive
I say things like that.
Yeah. No, but I like that. That was good. I liked it. And if anyone stayed till the end, they get that little golden nugget.
All right. Well.
Thank you
to Aiden Manning, Eric Foster, and the entire team at FR Digital for dealing with us. Thank you. And editing this podcast.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And we hope to see you on the side, but if we don't, we will
see
you on the other side.